who even cares about this fight, dude? MVP versus Ian Garry, bum 1 and bum 2. Fucking, I mean, MVP looked like way better. I think if you asked everyone who was the better fighter, I mean, MVP is the more talented and skilled fighter. The speed difference on these guys was one of probably the most shocking part of the night. In the second round, it looked like it was, I mean, if MVP, he doesn't throw more than 5 punches around. I hadn't seen much of the guy in Bellator.
Style, though.
How's that working for you, right? Didn't work so well. He was piecing him up. He should have fucking done more. You don't agree?
No, I agree, but that's how he fights. Like I don't know what that's how he fights. He's the Russian little karate. That's just his style of fighting.
Well, you just hated on. It's like you're hating on Pereira for not having wrestling, and I could just say, oh no, that's how he fights. Like if you have like a weakness, how about you address it and get better?
The more skilled over. You just said he was the more skilled fighter.
He lost.
He lost because he can't grapple. He lost all like I don't understand. Like, so he's not the most skilled fighter. He's the more skilled striker. He was the better striker. I think that was obvious on the night. But the more skilled fighter.
How
MMA,
did he win the fight? So it was 1-1 going in. It was 1-1 going into third. How did he win the fight?
How did Ian Garry win the fight?
Correct.
Did he not have more control time in the third round?
Correct. What is the scoring criteria? How much is control time weighed? Isn't it advancing positions? Isn't it doing something?
So having somebody's back for 3 minutes, whether you do something or not, isn't better than not having their back and just being on the ground. Like
in the third round, he was on his back for like the majority of it, but like advancing positions, going for submissions, trying to end the fight. Isn't that it's damage on the feet?
What is Michael Page doing? Nothing. So how is he getting points?
He's not. Let's rewind. I said Ian Garry won the fight. I think most people agree that Ian Garry won the fight. I agree with you. I'm saying that it was kind of a lay-in. He's the better grappler, so he won the fight. You're so annoying. I can't stand
Bro, you just said the guy was. You started off this breakdown saying that Michael Page was the more skilled fighter. Go back if you need to hear that. You said the more skilled fighter.
I did say that.
He was the more skilled striker.
Wait, is this not kickboxing?
No,
okay. It's not kickboxing?
No, MMA. It's MMA. Oh. Yeah. That's why he lost. Actually.
I'm on the wrong podcast, dude. So you think, bro, you think that was like a good showing from Ian Garry?
Bro, did I sit here and say it was a good showing?
You're not saying anything. You're just disagreeing with what I say.
I said that you're saying that the guy's a more skilled fighter and he lost because he couldn't grapple or out grapple the guy that isn't even this elite grappler. So the guy that you saying didn't put out a good performance. Okay, he still out grappled the guy to win the fight. Like
I'm criticizing, yeah, and I agree that he won the fight, but he panic shot, and he's not going to be able to do that against any of the bigger welterweights or the higher ranked welterweights. I'm
not disagreeing with you on that.
Again, you're not saying it. I'm saying that MVP, his style. Like, he was way, way faster. I was super impressed with him in that second round, man. I could not have been more impressed with him. Piecing him up. The speed, I mean, Ian Garry has looked fantastic on the feet in his, 6, 7, 8 fights in the UFC. He's looked fast. I think he's super impressive on the feet, man. He's pieced guys up. So, I was so impressed by MVP in the second round. Piecing Garry up looked like he could not have looked faster. And then, first of all, what I'm saying is try to finish the fight. Like, don't throw as infrequently as you do. And then, third of all, you just get taken down and let the guy win the fight. And then you get up after and you're complaining and like you're putting your hands up. Like, you're a bum for, just being able to get taken down that or easily. You're 37 years of age. How long you been in the sport? Like, I know you've been fighting bums your whole life and you've been avoiding the UFC. You finally get the call and that's what you do with it. Like, I don't know. I'm just hating on both guys because like that was a snooze fest. It was a boring fight and that's like a bad way to end the fight. And if you're disagreeing, Ian Garry's a striker. So you can say the kickboxing thing. Ian Garry's a striker and it was a striker versus striker. In the first round, he looked dominant. He took him down. He took his back, and he nearly got him out of there. And that would have been like, wow, like, all right, this guy's legit. Like, if you take a guy down and submit him easily, doesn't matter who you're fighting, a kickboxer or what, that's a great win. And that's, then you can get on the mic and say whatever you want. But when you get pieced up as a striker, when you're getting pieced up, and then you you end up on the bottom, you reverse, and then you just bleed out the clock, holding on for dear life, trying to win a boring decision like that everyone agrees with me other than you. I'm not disagreeing with you. So what is your analysis of the fight?
Because if you go back and watch Ian Garry before he was in the UFC in the early stages of his career, he actually was not predominantly a striker.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
I did. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, there you have it. Yeah. So what do you want? Ian Garry versus Shavkat next?
I like it. Let's do it. Doesn't seem like Usman wants to fight Shavkat, so we'll put Ian Garry in there.
All right. MVP versus Wonderboy, like that? Snooze fest.
Similar styles. That'd be entertaining.
Your favorite fighter's favorite fighter, the champion on paper, may have officially lost his belt. Anthony Smith, Roman Dolidze. Snooze fest. Fucking chonky, stinky middleweight moves up, and he looks like Pereira in there versus Anthony Smith. I mean, what an absolute joke. We could just move right on from this one, I think. No one cares. Dolidze, I mean, that was the best he ever looked, but who cares? The skill differential in upper weight classes, I feel like we just keep time after time. It gets proven with these guys moving up, maybe undersized for the division, not cutting much weight, but the skill differential. Michelle Pereira, I mean, comes to mind right away. But what'd you think of that? Were you awake for this one?
Yeah, I actually woke up after the Garry Page fight, the women's fight. Chiasson, Bueno Silva, actually,
pretty good fight.
Very entertaining fight. Yeah, on to Anthony Smith, the biggest joke, honestly, in the company right now at the moment. Looked like shit. Looked like he's ready for retirement. Made Dolidze look like a somewhat comprehensible striker, which is, Dolidze, I don't understand. The guy doesn't look good on the feet at all, and he's throwing some spinning heel kicks against Anthony Smith.
Ridiculous. It was insane.
Making him look like an amateur out there, and then he has the nerve to go to Dana and Sean Shelby and Hunter Campbell and go, give me a little bit more time next time. Bro, you do the same shit every fight. You think you're like a high-level elite fighter, bro. It's a joke. Your only run in the sport came from a bunch of washed-up bums that you beat. You beat Rashad Evans when he was like into with all due, I love Rashad, a great career. He fought him when he was like going through this weird like
shrooming out, and I think he was a vegan and just eating shrooms.
Yeah, I mean that's why he had his little run. I mean, and now he's lived off that. He's lived off of I think John Jones isn't very good narrative for a few years. He keeps himself in the media with being behind the booth. So he's a bum. What'd you think of his performance? I think we all know he sucks.
Yeah. We don't have to. Sorry for bringing it up. We don't have to talk much more about it. It's pissing me off. Again, we spoke about the other day about him in the booth. I don't really understand where the UFC gets these guys. It seems like anyone can do a little guest spot. We just saw Poirier. I think Poirier's getting a lot better. I think he's got a career in media. He's a little bit shaky. I mean, he's kind of a weird guy, but I love Poirier. Everyone loves him. I think he's got a great career. DC crushes. Bisping crushes. Chael crushes. All these guys we see do such a great job. But what did we also see them do? Compete for and win belts, like absolute legends in every sense of the word. That's who we see get on the desk and do well after. Even like a Paul Felder had a better career. Like, I don't know why Anthony Smith, and I'm calling Chiesa out again. These bums, you stink. Why are you commentating? Like, hey, it's mother. Where was I? I was shitting on Chiesa like I always do. These guys, you got to accomplish something if you're going to go down the mic, right? You got to do something in the octagon to go talk about it. So I'm very confused why Anthony Smith even is in this spot, because he talks like he's a star, and he gets on there on Wednesday Media Day and he's saying all the stuff about the Pereira, the inevitable face-off with Pereira, and everyone's jealous of how much money I make, and they're jealous of how much money you make because you lose every fight. That's why. So you shouldn't be making that much money. So it doesn't matter. Dolidze throwing spinning shit was not on the bingo card, but you're mocking the guy 30 seconds into the third round. What a dumpster fire, dude. Anthony Smith, I don't know who he's going to fight next. Put him in there with Olberg and just see what happens for for shits and gigs. But moving right along, we already gave a shout out to Chiasson, however you pronounce that beautiful baby girl's name. She was kind of getting pieced up. I thought Silva looked great. I thought Silva looked fast. I picked Chiasson going into it, and I was not happy with that pick up until she gashed her face, and that was a terrible cut. WMMA, we probably don't have to go much more into depth. But the moment of the evening, other than the main event, was with, I think it happened about 9:30, the announcement, maybe right before the main card. They waited till everyone bought it to the last minute. Brian Ortega out. Dan Ige getting a massage, and who knows what else. Down the corner, they call him in, and he fights on 0 days notice, on like 5 hours notice. Unbelievable. Dan Ige will always be a legend for that. I saw a great interview with his coach, Eric Nixick, today, saying of him recruiting or like gathering the troops on the day of. Just nothing but respect for Ige. You had a legendary rant about this while it was going on. Can I hear your take? Obviously, right? You're just going to give credit where credit is due in Dan Ige, right? We're going to show love to the warrior spirit that is Dan Ige. Am I correct in this, right?
Listen, we tipped the cap to Mr. Ige for stepping in on a few hours' notice against Mr. No Regrets. We saw the holes in that bums game in that one. But look, this is gonna be a bold take here, but we have to address it, okay? Mr. Ige, you take the fight on short notice. I'm sick and tired of people being like happy with, oh, I gave the crowd a show. Give me a round of applause, man. I showed up. I fought hard. I fought till the final bell. Bro, you're in the third round of a fight. You know you're down 2-0. Clear as day. Everyone in the world knows you're down 2-0. And you're piecing the guy up. The guy's gassed. He's gassed. He's got no striking. You're winning every exchange. And then the guy, I forget if it was a punch that put him down or whatever. He ends up on the ground, and Mr. Ige goes, instead of telling him to get up to his feet and let me try and win this fight, get a stoppage win, let me go jump into his guard, lay there for 2 minutes, and then get up and go over to Dana as if I'm John Jones after my 15th title defense and go talk to him as if I want it. It's a joke to me that the guy doesn't try to win the fight and is just more excited about the, I'm a BMF, man. I stepped in, I gave the crowd what. But bro, try and win the fight. I don't understand why fighters go out on your shield, try to win the fight, especially a fight like that. The guy was putting it on Lopes in the final round, and he just decides to end that way. Pisses me off. Respect to Ige. I do appreciate him taking the fight. Saved us a co-main event. Lopes has no business being in a co-main event. That's a talk for another day. But what do you think about this co-main event?
Bro, that's like why I love you. That's like the most you take of all time. I think that's like one of the funniest things I ever heard. As I said when I originally heard this, I do 100% agree with you. We see so frequently a guy down 2-0 going into the third round of a 3-round fight. I don't really understand why you don't just lay it down on the line. Maybe you get clipped and knocked out. Maybe you lose the round because you're being too reckless. I think your check hits the same way, whether you lose 30-27 or you get KO'd. And also, again, I know we're talking about people getting knocked out. Like that's the game we play, right? Or that's the game they play. I certainly do not play this game. But so it doesn't really matter, right? So I never understand 2-0. We talk about Izzy in the Strickland fight, or these guys being content going decision. Obviously, Strickland does the complete opposite. He doesn't do anything for the whole fight. Then he turns it up the last 10 seconds and, goes out on his shield. But so I agree with you on this, right? But we've never seen something like this. We've never seen someone take a fight the day of, even on a couple days' notice. It's like still a win-win situation. So I don't really think that's fair to say about Dan Ige. He was winning the third round. Maybe he could have poured it on a little more. My theory, he was supposed to fight in a couple of weeks. Now he's saying, I want to fight on the Sphere. He probably knew. I mean, again, the ultimate win-win situation. He could have gotten ragdolled. He almost got finished. Was it the first round? He almost got subbed. If you come out and get subbed in the first round, it almost doesn't matter. Like, I don't think people are going to really freak out about that. So a win-win situation. I think he was just happy to get to the finish line and to go out winning the third. So now again, that elevates him even more. The place goes nuts. Actually, the place barely went nuts. What a joke of a fucking show this was, dude. I told you, I'm a big, I play some music. We had a women's fight. We had an Anthony Smith fight, 2 women's fights. You know what I'm saying? So we had some music going. I got to turn down the fight. I'm like, oh, let's see this Dan Ige walkout, dude. The place is going to be going nuts. Not really. Not as much as I expected. And then he, as you said, he wanted his moment on the mic afterwards. And what happens? He's like, whoa, like 5 hours. This is what dogs do. And the place, I'm so mad talking about this card. What a dumpster fire, man. Dan Ige's a legend. I half kind of agree with you, but I'm not even going to go on record saying that because what a hero. And you didn't like Diego Lopes's performance. Oh, I didn't even know. I don't know if I finished that. I think Ige, once he took this fight, was like, okay, if I do this for them, they're going to give me a big name after in a big spot. And I think he already, or somebody mentioned the Sphere card, which is very soon. So maybe he was like, I'm okay just not getting finished here. I'll turn around and I'll fight again in 6 weeks. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But Diego Lopes, I don't understand that criticism either. I know we're in the criticism business, but the kid is still super young. He's super talented. He comes in there. He makes 145, going to go fight a guy who's been in the top 5 in your division forever in like his 5th UFC fight maybe. Oh, that guy's a bum, actually. We got to move the fight up to 155, even though you already weighed in at 145. So that never happens. It's always Kelvin Gastelum. What's up, Saudi Arabia? Eating tacos the night before. That's what usually happens. But the morning of, after he weighs in, such bullshit. But then they move it up to 155. Game as ever.
He didn't weigh in, though. He didn't weigh in at 45. He got down to the weight, but he never. That was the night before the weigh-ins.
Oh, he didn't. Well, okay, sorry. He didn't weigh in. He made it down to the weight. So he cut the weight. He didn't weigh in, but 146 was 146. So then he fights at 155, agrees to that. The other guy will be bigger. The other guy will be more hydrated. Sure, I don't care. I'll still take the fight. Then the other guy, maybe too much rehydration. He's not fighting. You agree to fight Dan Ige, who off the street, but he was fully in training. He's supposed to fight in 2 weeks. I mean, that's like the peak of your training. So he should be in great shape at 165. So like, obviously Lopes had already rehydrated. I think he was 161 at the time. So we're not going to act like 4 pounds is a big difference. But I mean, we're also not going to act like cutting 20 plus pounds the day before has no effect on you the next day. So it's one of the biggest topics in UFC is weight cutting. So obviously that affected him. So again, I don't think you could really take much on either side from this fight. And I think Lopes still has a chance to be a star. And I want to see him fight Ortega on the Sphere card. What do you say about that?
Hey, I was excited for the fight on Saturday if it would have happened, but I definitely wouldn't mind it on the Sphere. I got a feeling they're going to load the Sphere up, so that'd be a great like first fight on the main card type of deal if they're really loading it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's funny to think that was the co-headliner on to save a McGregor card, but
international. Yeah, they usually don't stack McGregor cards though, just because he sells by himself.
Well, I'm saying after they didn't announce that till after McGregor was out, so like to help out fix it. I don't know, just funny to think that was a co-headliner because I don't think it would be in any other spot. But I think
one other comment on that. I just need to get this off the chest. Are we gonna discuss how Mr. Lopes? I talk shit about. I don't think he's this high level of a fighter, but are we gonna discuss how the guy doesn't speak English, but he has he has an English tattoo on his chest? I don't understand it. Bro, somebody please explain that one to me.
It's why we're the best in the game. Why, if you were on the mic at the press conference, tell me you're not asking that guy to explain the tattoo or even tell me what the tattoo means. I remember some guys in a similar situation in our college locker room. He had a Chinese symbol and somebody asked him what it meant. And he said, I do not know. One of my favorite college stories.
Wait, who was the Hebs? Who was it?
Poatan is the biggest star in the sport. Yuri Prohaska back in the forest training already, not even 48 hours away from the fight. Love that guy. Talk about a guy that it was brutal to see him lose. But UFC 303 in the books. A terrible card, somewhat saved from the main event. Just glad that June is over. what was the most promising month in a very long time for the UFC turns out terrible. But again, we still had some great fights this month, so we can't hate on it too much. We'll be back in action soon here. New stuff coming out, a couple videos a week, so make sure you like, you comment. Most importantly, you subscribe, you unsubscribe, and then you resubscribe. That's how we do it over here. Thanks for tuning in again. UFC 303, ballin' and brawlin'. It's a wrap.